I'm joined now by two veteran officers from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Tom Hackney, who spent 29 years with the agency over investigations, Homeland Security, retired as a director. Tom Hackney, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We're also joined by Kim Varner, retired police detective, spent 26 years with the agency working narcotics, now works on violence de-escalation efforts. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me in.
So I appreciate both of you being here. I'd just like to get your takeaways. Start with you, Tom. You heard the sheriff's response there. You saw his presser last night. Um, has the video that he released, has his response in any way changed your initial reaction to the dash cam video that we saw?
Honestly, no. What I like to see is that other side. We talked about perspectives, and we've talked about it when that video was released Sunday. I immediately said to myself, I want to see the other side. This is a portion of an incident that happened. What about the other parts? And I reserve that judgment until you see the whole thing, just because there's always that other side of that story. And is there some explaining to do? Sure. And with that investigation that the sheriff spoke about, kind of dig through that and find that out. Absolutely. But there's more than just that one side of it. And, the person in that video, he takes responsibility for his actions in that. As the officers in that video, part that the sheriff released yesterday, they have responsibilities for theirs too. And that's how the whole thing kind of comes together.
Kim, I'll ask you the same question. I mean, when you first saw the video that was released over the weekend, the dash cam version of William McNeil and, the window getting broken in the strike, did you kind of have any initial feeling about that video?
Well, with all videos that pop up on social media, I know there's two sides to each story most of the time. In this particular case, once I saw the body worn camera video, it showed that the officer was trying to get him to exit the vehicle. Of course, in his vehicle, none. I mean, in the guy driving the car, in his video, none of that's in there. So just like Tom just said, there's two sides to every story. A lot of times these videos will try to mislead you to just believe one way. And I was waiting to see what the other part was, and after seeing that, it does change the way I feel about that video. It doesn't change the fact that the officer shouldn't have punched him. Uh, I don't think that officer shouldn't have punched him when they first broke the window. I don't think there was no need to punch the guy. But I do feel like the officer did the best that he could at trying to get the guy to comply. Compliance is always the best thing. I used to teach traffic stops in the black community what to do if you get stopped by the police. And the first thing I would tell people, always comply. If he would have complied, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this today, I don't think.
And so getting compliance in this case, he had refused to step out of the vehicle. It sounds like you both believe, at least kind of breaking the window, getting him out of the vehicle was part of the officer's responsibility. But I'm curious what your take is, Tom, about that initial punch. And we should say, once again, that initial punch is not mentioned in any of the reports that have been
Exactly.
filed.
Right. So the punch part of that video, I was concerned with, but I also reserve judgment for that as well. From that initial video that was put out on Sunday, I was like, gosh, I hope there's more to that. But I did quantify that by saying, if there was some action reaching for something that's not on camera, that you can't see, that the officer outside that window sees, I'm perfectly fine with punching somebody in the face if there is an attempt to interfere with them from grabbing a gun or grabbing a knife, or that's an initial reaction, is like, oh, wait a minute, there might be something there, let me do that. So without that punch to the face, it's kind of outside what the training is and what the established standards are for that. And again, he's going to have to answer for that and be able to justify that to the sheriff and the rest of the administration.
Can I say something
Yes.
about that also? In the report, it says that there was a large knife found on the floorboard in front of where the driver was sitting. And in the picture, you can see a large knife there. However, I read in one of the reports that he reached down like he was reaching towards that knife. I never saw that in the video. I never saw him reach down. I saw him put his hands up in the air. Once they broke his window and opened his door, he was full compliance at that point. I never saw any point in the video where he looked like he reached down for that knife. I don't like the Monday morning quarterback another officer situation if I'm not there to actually witness it myself. But I think that I mean, right is always right, and I never saw the guy reach down towards the knife in the body cam video or in his video.
We're talking to Tom. We are continuing our conversation this morning about the video and reaction to the video that was released over the weekend of William um, I'm blanking on his name right now.
McNeil.
McNeil, sorry. William McNeil. We are talking to Tom Hackney and Kim Varner. They're both retired from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, getting their response. So during the break, we talked a little bit about, the question of the initiating stop, because you guys seem in lockstep that this gentleman, could have avoided this incident if he had complied with the officer's request. But there are questions. Was this stop necessary in the first place? He's being asked to stop because allegedly he wasn't wearing his seatbelt, although the video does show him wearing his seatbelt, like the dash cam version, that didn't have his headlights on. And, it appears to be a fairly normal day out for Florida. Wasn't, the sheriff said his car was wet, but you couldn't see anything at the moment. And in fact, as one of my coworkers pointed out, the car that responds and kind of parks him in didn't have his lights on, that pulls up the sheriff's office vehicle. Was it an appropriate stop?
I think that I think it was an appropriate stop. A lot of times, and I was trying to look in the videos to see if because I saw that same thing that some people were saying that the officers who pulled up didn't have their lights on. One thing when a police car is running X, which means it has a siren and lights going, the headlights flash. So I don't know if they saw it when it was just flashing, or if they were really off, or whatever the case might be. Most newer cars have lights that stay on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the sheriff's office cars are in that mode. All of us have lights that stay on all the time when you cut the car on. So I believe their lights were on.
And to the stop appropriateness of not having your lights on. I mean, I guess I kind of tried to ask the sheriff this too. It's hard for me to imagine in what world, someone driving, if I was driving a silver minivan, that I would, even if I was demanding a supervisor and refusing to open my door, that my window would get shattered and I'd get punched in the face during a traffic stop. It just seems like that is a wildly unlikely scenario, Tom. How do we get from, what that, unlikelihood to kind of what happened?
You have to look at each little section of that traffic stop as an escalation of everything. So if that traffic stop had been conducted for the headlights being out, and that was the pretextual reason for that stop, you get up there to the door. Hey, sir, your traffic or your headlights weren't on. This is why I stopped you. Here's my driver's license. Here's my registration. Hey, everything looks in order. Have a good day. You get to the point of roll that window down. No. Open that door. No. I don't have my driver's license. No. So every one of those things escalates to that point. Does the opportunity for you or myself to have that happen exist? I mean, yes, it does. Is it likely? Maybe less. But again, every one of the drivers that are out there have some responsibility to comply with the lawful order of a police officer at the scene of a traffic stop. That's well-established Supreme Court case law that says that. But there are, and we talked about this in the break as well, there's so many avenues for redress that folks have for a traffic ticket. The side of the road is not the place to arbitrate that. And I need a supervisor. Well, supervisors are available, but right there in the midst of that, screaming outside windows and threatening windows being broken, that's not going to happen right then. The duty is to follow the directions of the officer, and if there's issues with the pretextual stop that I shouldn't, that doesn't even apply. It wasn't raining. Well, then fight that aspect of it. That I did have my seatbelt on, my video shows it, fight that aspect of it and go from there. But again, the side of the road is not the place to do that.
You don't think it was appropriate to ask for a supervisor, or that would be permitted?
I don't think it's not that it's inappropriate to ask for a supervisor, but in the course of all that, you've got business to attend to, and following the orders, the lawful orders of that law enforcement officer at that scene, that's your first duty. And to try to sidetrack that and to let me speak to your supervisor, well, there's a time for that, and it's after you comply with what the orders are, and that didn't happen.
Got a call from Mrs. Green in St. John's. Go ahead.
Yes, I really have a comment for the sheriff. Good morning. And my comment is pretty straightforward. Leadership begins with listening, and listening begins with acknowledging that something may be wrong. You can't fix a problem that you choose to ignore. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We also have a call from Michelle in Jacksonville. Good morning, Michelle. Go ahead.
I was wondering, I understand that you are a retired officer and the other officer is now like a detective, I thought I heard, I'm sorry. But are y'all trained to be violent towards someone who is not seen as a threat to you? I do understand that afterwards there was a knife found, but as we saw in both videos, it seemed as though he was very calm. There is a way that you can remove somebody from a vehicle without promoting so much violence, without the punching and everything, I
Michelle,
think.
thank you.
Or
I'm
is
going to have
that
to
not?
thank you, Michelle. Kim, I'm just going to ask you to briefly answer that because we've just got about a half a minute left.
No, we don't train to be violent towards anybody, but it is important that you understand that traffic stops are the leading causes of police officers being killed. We don't know who we're stopping. We don't know if that person in that vehicle has just killed someone, just robbed a bank, or could have done anything. So traffic stops are the leading causes of police officers being killed. And he did show suspicious behavior. So,
All
you
right.
know,
We're going to have to leave it there. Tom Hackney, Kim Varner, thank you so much for coming on the program today. Really appreciate your insights.
thank
Absolutely.
you, Ann.